Hello historians, welcome to Decoding the Test and a quick look at the modern age. Now as you can see from the slide, the modern age has 25% of the questions on the test. So you can imagine it is loaded with details. Now if you want to guarantee a higher level score, I would study all the details that you see on the slide in front of you. But what we're going to look at today in this video are the things the test has covered again and again and again. Now when it comes to the modern age, you can see that it's a kind of a grab bag of different areas. Some of them kind of content related, like Ronald Reagan or the War on Terror, and some of them a little bit more vague, like economics or government and values. Well, today we're going to look at culture, modern American culture. The test actually will ask a few questions about this, and it's actually incredibly simple to answer if you keep in mind one concept. Modern American culture has spread across the globe. That is what you need to know, the globalization of American culture. So you might get a question like this. It's got a poster talking about International Jazz Day. It's happening in Paris. Okay? All right, well, jazz is an American art form. We talked about this way back in a video on the Harlem Renaissance during the Gilded Age. So jazz is an American musical art form. So what is this poster celebrating? Well, it's celebrating the global diffusion of an original form of music. It's a really kind of wordy way to say that. You know, they're avoiding saying that it's an American form of music. They really kind of want to hide what the right answer choice is. It is the globalization of American culture. It is jazz, an American cultural icon being spread across the world. Now this one is a little bit more direct. Which situation demonstrates one way that U.S. culture has spread to other parts of the world? So this is a question on globalization of American culture. And all you have to do is be able to identify what is an American cultural artifact. In this case, it's hip-hop. A lot of these questions will revolve around music. They really will. Jazz, hip-hop. The third in the trifecta is country and Western music. So if you can identify that jazz, hip-hop, and country and Western music are American art forms, you should be able to get a question like this just no problem. In this case, it's a teenage girl buying a hip-hop CD in China. So again, globalization of American cultural traditions. Okay, here's another one. You've got the president, George W. Bush, visiting Graceland, the home of Elvis Presley, and saying, hey, I'm glad the Japanese Prime Minister can join us. What does this event best illustrate? It's the global influence of U.S. popular culture. Elvis Presley, rock and roll, which, now that I think of it, we could add as the fourth of the musical categories that you need to know as an American thing. And speaking of rock and roll, the most missed question on the test in the past few years has been this one. It's a quote from James Michener, and he's talking about 1960s music. And the question actually goes, which event is commonly associated with 1960s rock and roll? The answer is Woodstock, the Woodstock Music Festival, a huge 60s cultural icon. Now, this is missed because many history teachers just didn't cover Woodstock. It was a cultural touchstone much more than a historical one. But you could have gotten it right by just looking at the answer choices. The March on Washington, the Freedom Riders, the California Great Boycott, none of them have anything to do with music. They all have to do with the Civil Rights Movement. The only one that's left is Woodstock. So what do you need to know about American culture? Let's sum up. One, you need to know that it's spreading across the globe. Two, you need to know the American musical forms that are seen as purely American and then spreading across the globe. Rock and roll, hip-hop, country and Western music, and finally, jazz. If you know these things, you should be able to get these questions right on the test. If there's no questions, comments, or screams of angst, I will see you in the next video.